What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video. Today we're going to be looking at an article from Specters Hockey. Again, a great website. Link will be down below. Specters Hockey posted an article called 5 NHL teams still in need of shedding salary. Now, of course, we know we're in August now. We're a month away from NHL training camps. Well, roughly a month away. It's August 7th at the time I'm recording this. But we're getting pretty close here, and some teams need to shed some salary. Now, Specters Hockey writes, some clubs, however, are sitting above this season's $81.5 million cap, and some could find themselves in similar circumstances once they re-sign the remaining restricted free agents. Now, this is coming after teams are spending their cap dollars, trying to make sure that they maximize their opportunity to win, or maybe they're taking on bad contracts to acquire young assets or picks and stuff like that. So this is 5 teams that are in need of shedding some salary from Specters Hockey, and I'm going to be giving my general opinion on the article at hand here. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. I appreciate all you. Let's go. So the first team that's listed here is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the Penguins sit just over $157,000 above the cap. So they're not exactly in big trouble here. But a defenseman, Marcus Pettersson, needs to re-sign. And last Thursday, the Athletic's Josh Yeo reported management in Pettersson's camp, and again, I could be pronouncing this name wrong. I know people go back and forth with the Petterssons or Petersons or Pettersson. There's been so many different pronunciations, but I believe it's Marcus Pettersson. They're working on a long-term contract, reportedly, that could push the Penguins $3 million over the salary cap here. So the Penguins have some forwards that they could move out. Now, Nick Bukestad at $4.1 million, his AAV is listed on here, and Brian Rust, $3.5 million, have been mentioned before as trade candidates. Now, I don't believe they want to lose either of these players. I think they like the fact that they have some depth there. I think they'd rather keep Rust. I think that he's just fit well with the team. I know Bukestad has been a decent addition as well for them. But I think if you are going to make this move, Bukestad's the guy that you move on from. It gives you a little bit more flexibility. This Marcus Pettersson contract pushing them probably $3 million over the cap doesn't really give them much of a choice if that's the deal that they're comfortable with signing. If they want to move on from Rust, I'm not positive that they would want to do that. Now, the thing is here is they don't exactly have to trade the 2 guys that are listed here. Now, the reason why I say Bukestad could be the guy to go is because coming over from Florida in 32 games played, 14 points, I think that Pittsburgh could definitely move on from his $4.1 million AAV. Now, whether that comes in a trade where they have to attach something, they probably would have to do that. But at the same time, I don't think that it's going to be so troublesome where, it can't happen. The Leafs and other teams have made better trades this offseason, with worse contracts, I should say. And they've had to attach some assets, but it's been done. So I think that this contract, the Bukestad contract, could be moved. And I feel like that's probably a good contract to move on from if you're going to, try to get under the salary cap here. Now, keep in mind, the $81.5 million salary cap wasn't expected by a lot of GMs, and I think that's why a couple of them might have overspent a little bit last season, and even before the salary cap was announced at 81.5, because the rumors going around was that it could probably get to 83, but with some big market teams not going far in the playoffs and some teams not even making the playoffs, that told the NHL that they can't get up to 83. It's going to get past that because with expansion and new TV deals that are coming in. But at this point, it looks like that's where it's going to be. The Buffalo Sabres are the next team on here. After re-signing Linus Ullmark and defenseman Jake McCabe, the Sabres are just $1.05 million over the cap. Now, Lance Lysowski, again, I could be mispronouncing this, no disrespect, but he's from the Buffalo News. He reported that they could buy out Vladimir Sobotka or defenseman Marco Scandella. To address that problem, he also says you could trade Scandella or Matt Hunwick. I would think the Hunwick deal would make more sense. He's a little older. And also, people are saying, well, they're going to trade Ristolainen. Well, as it's listed here, we all suspect that he'll be traded for a pretty decent asset, probably a top 6 winger, and that's what it says here, offsetting his $5.4 million cap hit, so you're probably going to be bringing in a player with a similar cap hit. So, to me, right away, if it's $1.5 million, you could do a buyout and a trade here. I still think it makes sense to ship out a guy like Matt Hunwick. I know he brings a decent veteran leadership, but you got to get under the cap, and I think they probably have a better option to put there. And considering what they could get in a trade for Ristolainen or something else, you could replace Hunwick with a cheaper defenseman, a guy that can fill in those, those little roles, probably kill some penalties, stuff like that. So I think the Sabres are an easier team to predict here. I think that a buyout and a trade is probably coming, and it's probably not going to take too much for them to ship out a contract. They probably aren't really looking for much in return if it is a Hunwick type of trade or a Scandella trade. Now, the Vancouver Canucks, this one's interesting because they have just over $5 million in cap space, so they're not like in desperate need of cap space unless somebody needed a contract. And there's somebody that needs a contract, and his name's Brock Besser, a big RFA, and Nikolai Goldobin. They don't want to lose either of those guys. Now, the Vancouver Suns' Ben Kuzma, loved the last name Kuzma, of course, Kyle Kuzma on the Lakers as well. He recently told TSN Vancouver that the Besser camp wants $7 million annually. Now, there have been reports that they could be working on a bridge deal as well, which would probably let that number go down a little bit. But if he is looking for $7 million annually, and who knows how many years that is, could be 3 or 4 on a lesser bridge deal like a lot of these RFAs are looking for. The Canucks already have 24 players under contract, so they have to waive or demote 1 or 2 lesser contracts to free up space for that Besser deal. Now, listed here is Tanner Pearson, who has a $3.75 million AAV, Brandon Sutter, $4.375 million, or Jay Beagle, $3 million. Now, you could probably move on from 1 or 2 of these guys, but you're probably attaching an asset. Nothing too crazy, but you are probably going to have to attach an asset. I think they want to keep a guy like Jay Beagle, even though I know he's not very productive. But Tanner Pearson is probably an easy candidate for them to move on from. They probably want to keep Brandon Sutter. To my knowledge, I think they would want to keep Brandon Sutter. And Jay Beagle, if you have to move on from him, you probably do, because I honestly don't see why the Canucks even signed these contracts in the first place. It's way too expensive for some of these names. I know the Pearson deal came from a bunch of trades, but Pearson's probably the most obvious name there. You're going to have to free up some space for Goldobin and Besser, so you're going to need a heck of a lot more than $5 million. You probably will need more than $8 million, so something's got to give in Vancouver. The Boston Bruins, another interesting one. They've got Charlie McAvoy and Brandon Carlo, 2 defensemen that are coming off their ELCs, their entry-level contracts, and they only have $7.2 million in cap space. And it's stated here that the Bruins could also go the same route and look for a lesser contract, a bridge deal, hopefully get a guy like McAvoy and Carlo to cheaper deals, but I still think that this is going to take more. I think that McAvoy and Carlo are going to demand probably combined more than $7.2 million even on bridge contracts. Listen, McAvoy is really good, and Carlo's a pretty decent player as well. They need those guys on the blue line, especially with Zdeno Chara not getting any younger. Torrey Krug's a great option as well, but he also would probably like Carlo there. I believe they played on the same pairing for a lot of the season, or at least when they were in big moments, they needed a shutdown line. Defensive line. Now, NBC Sports' James O'Brien suggested that Kevin Miller... Well, my camera batteries are not cooperating, but as I was saying, James O'Brien from NBC Sports says that Kevin Miller at $2.5 million or Charlie Coyle could be a trade candidate now. I believe they'll hold on to Charlie Coyle. Kevin Miller could be the odd man out. While I do believe that they like this player, I think that they don't want to move on from Charlie Coyle. He seemed like a beautiful fit in Boston. So Boston's going to have to make some room here to get McAvoy and Carlo under a contract. Now, the last team here is Calgary. I've talked about them, so I'll probably make this a little bit quick. I made a video on it before. What's next for the Calgary Flames? Go check it out on my channel. But they have $7.7 million in cap space. They need to sign Matthew Tkachuk and Andrew Mangiapane. Now, Mangiapane is probably not going to cost them a lot of money, whereas Matthew Tkachuk has been vocal about RFAs getting paid, talking about the Matthews contract. Listen, these guys want to get their money. Tkachuk is going to probably get over $7.7 million. Something's got to give, but the Flames have been in a ton of rumors. They're talking about the fact that he could reach $9 million per season. My camera's going to die. They could trade TJ Brody or Travis Hamonic. It's been in rumors. They've also talked about, obviously, the buyout of Michael Stone happened already. And Michael Frolik probably is the guy that they're going to move on from. They already were talking about trading him. His AAV is $4.3 million. And that would probably free up enough space for Mangiapane and Tkachuk, and they could probably make another lesser move and go the same route as the Leafs and maybe not carry as many forwards and defensemen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, make sure to check the article down below. I appreciate all of you guys as always, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.